Hey guys, here's going to be a Naxx Full Run with commentary. Um, I've said this before in our other videos. This is not a speed run. We're not a speedrunning guild. This clear um, is currently, as of the date of this recording, one of our best. So we have two Naxx raids that happen every week, one on Thursday, one on Saturday. And last Saturday we had a team finish in an hour 20, and this run is an hour and 23. So this is a pretty fast raid, but I wanted to put this out there to go along with my other full runs, full raid runs with commentary, just so I can talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I'm one of the main tanks of the guild, so this is going to be from my perspective. And I also do main tank most of the bosses this run because I was out last week, so I still had DMF booned. So I wanted to choose this run. There's still some mistakes. You'll probably see. I'll try to call them out as I see them and as I remember them. This run was just last night, so it's still pretty fresh in my memory. But as some of you know, if any of you guys record any of your runs or go back and watch, you always see things that you don't remember happening in the moment because you're not focusing on casting abilities or whatever. You're just watching the video. So we always and we changed up our order. We used to do our order a little differently, but we start with Spiderwing, and for skitter packs, we always do lip taunts. So all of the warriors, we have a lot of warriors in the raid. Most guilds, I think, that run Naxx have a lot of warriors. And skitter packs are always lip taunted. So we have a rotation that we call out in Discord. And the warrior will just challenging shout and then use a limited invulnerability potion just to make sure they don't die. It's possible to do it without a lip, but you're really putting your buffs at risk. Even if you're not world buffed, you're still putting your elixirs and whatnot at risk because the skitters can kill you, even with the shield on. So to avoid that, it's, lips are not that expensive, especially if you're in Naxx. You're already in Naxx using a lot of consumes. Lips don't really add a ton to that. So we're just buffing up right now. We do call outs in disc to say, hey, unboon, get your buffs out. We're pulling, and the next pat. You can see Swinchy's down at the bottom of the ramp. He's always the first skitter puller, so he's communicating in Discord to say, yep, here they come, and then he'll call out when he does his taunt. I have a weak aura that shows when a taunt goes out as well. So I think it's called Zippy's taunt or something like that. I don't have the game pulled up right now to look. I think it's called Zippy's taunt monitor. So if you're a DPS, a mage, whatever, and you see that weak aura going off, it'll be kind of in the middle right of the screen. It gives you a good indication of when you can start, ripping your AoE or your Goblin Sappers or whatever. I did change my UI around a little bit, so my action bars, which are really just tell me when icons, so it looks a little different, and I'm still kind of messing with it. So here comes the first pack. You can see I'm waiting until those come around the corner. So I just saw the taunt go off. A few of them resisted, but these things die so fast with world buffs out. We just run right into the next pack. We pretty much run right into the next pack all the time. We don't really stop. So these spiders, you want to everybody group up, even the healers. You don't want these spiders charging people because they will kill people if they charge. You always have people doing decurses because they do put a curse up on you. Okay, next pack, run right into it. And I'm just I'm not doing anything special. I'm just spamming Cleave and Bloodthirst. I try to get Demo Shout up as soon as I can because I've improved Demo Shout. I should have saved a little bit more rage right there. I like to carry in 100 rage into this fight if I can. Even if I'm not the main tank, if I'm tanking one of the ads, I still like to carry in 100 rage because you want to be able to bloodthirst right away, especially with world buffs out, especially on DMF week. You know, these brown boys, the warriors, they don't give you a lot of time, you know, to get into position or to you know, to get aggro. So luckily I have, like I said, I have DMF from when I was out last week on vacation, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But it's always a good idea, if possible, if there's a trash pack before a boss. So like Lotheb and Saffron, you really can't go into those with rage, or you can with if you use certain items, but you want to go in with rage. So I'm just, you know, Nubrakan is just a burn fight. We kill him well before his phase 2 happens, so it's just a burn fight. We typically blow Recklessness on him, but we changed up and we're going to Recklessness on Maxna instead, so we can one-face her. So we just did Death Wish there, and that was it. So yeah, just burn a Nubrakan down. He's a pushover. We stack the ads and cleave them. You don't really need to focus on the ads. They will die with this many warriors and war ones and cleaves going out, and rogues, a blade foolery, that type of thing. You know, it's not a big deal. I think this pack was me, or maybe I was the next pack. Yeah, I think I was the next pack. I think this one's Hoon. No, or so again, you just wait to see that challenging shout. You just target one of them and just start bloodthirsting till you see that taunt go out, and then, you know, blow your sapper. This one was Hoon. I think I'm after this one because I still have my pot on cooldown from Stone Shield on a noob. So you see, we just keep rolling right into the spider packs. We keep them at the top of the stairs here, stack them up. The raid needs to stack up. There's a few folks who are a little bit outside of the range they need to be. You see the hunters going around the corner. He just got sucked back in. But the hunters are, you know, always going out in front and marking the next pack. So there, my Stone Shield wore off, so now my pot's ready. So I'm just going to go in, taunt, lip, and then they all die before the taunt wears off. It's pretty effective, especially if you got, you know, whatever we got 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 14. We have like 18 warriors, so that's plenty of warriors for challenging shout and lip taunt for these packs. Like I said, if you don't have this many warriors in your raid, and you don't, so you know, if you're, I don't know, if you have 6 or 7 warriors, you can just have your main tanks put on a shield and, you know, demo shout as the skidders get close, and then sapper, or, you know, throw a dynamite or something to get aggro on all of them, or try to get aggro on all of them. But individual skidders don't hit that hard. It's when you've got, you know, all 8 or 10 of them, or 12, however many are in the pack. That's when they all are hitting you, that's when you can die. These spiders, same thing, you stack them, you cleave them down. They die fast with world buffs out. Keep the poisons cleansed. EPRs, Elixir of Poison Resistance, are very handy to have. So what some of our DPS warriors do is they will have an EPR macro, because Elixir of Poison Resistance is one of those smart consumables, meaning that it won't get used. If you try to use it and you have nothing to dispel, it won't work. You won't drink it. So you can macro it into Heroic Strike or Bloodthirst or something, and then it'll get cast as soon as you're poisoned. So you don't have to wait on a Paladin or a Druid to cleanse you. It can get expensive that way because they're, you know, but you save your buffs. So, you know, make a decision about, am I going to spend 2 gold on the CPR, or are my world buffs not worth 2 gold? You know, the boons cost more than that. So you probably want to come in here with a stack of EPRs and macro them into one of your abilities. So here we're rolling in. The hunter's going back to pull the other stuff, so that these are not marked, and it doesn't really matter. One of the warriors challenging shouted. We didn't need to do that, but it's still smart. Especially if he had a lip up, which I think he did because he didn't take any damage. because even the big packs you can see with world buffs out die so fast that by the time challenging shout wears off, you're fine. So we used to go to the right wall, and now we're going to go to the left wall. This is one of our new strategies, because these this trash before Fairlena takes forever, and they run up the ramp, and then you got to wait until they come around the corner. So we're actually going to go up to the next cubby after this, and we're going to try sitting up to the left. Yeah, I think right now they say in Discord, hey, wrong cubby, go up to the left one. This is the first time we've ever done it this way. We used to sit to the right, like I said. This cubby is not as good for line of sight, because the angle of the corner is a little less acute. So the one back on the right is more of a 90-degree angle, and this one's more like a 45 or something like that. So some of the mobs stop and start casting down over the hill. Plus, you're down over the hill and you're kind of out of line of sight. And you can't hear it, but we were saying in Discord, hey, don't go around the corner, don't drop down the hill, because healers need to kind of step out and see you. And these mobs do shadow bolt volleys, which do a lot of damage. So you don't want to have a lot of them down the hill casting. So rogues and warriors are all, and that's why I'm in berserker stance as well, is to help with pummels, and also to whirlwind. You don't need to be, if you're a tank, you don't need to be in defensive stance. These don't get tanked. Here comes a skitter pack. So the alkalite packs, or whatever your guild calls them, they don't get tanked. They die so fast, and they just cast. So they cast Arcane Explosion, they cast Shadow Bolt Volley. They might melee a little bit, but I don't think they hit that hard. You can be in berserker stance and just cleave and whirlwind, interrupt, shield slam, or not shield slam, pummel. I guess if you put a shield on for some reason, you can shield bash, but no reason to do that. So you can see this trash takes a long time because there's so much of it. But we sped it up quite a bit because of moving up to this cubby. So the mobs only have to run about half as far as they normally do. So this helped us to get. I think our best run before this was an hour 35 minutes, and this run, like I said, was an hour 23. So this is the last pack. So the raid leader said, hey, let's just run down the hill and get them. We do get low here. You can see the raid is taking some damage. People are not interrupting the shadow bolts. And there's that knockback. That knockback is pain. So again, I didn't save enough rage, but we also have folks who need to drink. If you look at the mana, my mana weak aura, I was looking for a bug to hit. That's why I just spun the camera around. I was like, that other maggot was running towards the boss. I didn't want to run up there. So instead, I just swap in Berserker, and I'll cast Berserker Rage going in. And Stone Shield, obviously. I didn't Death Wish here because I was worried about... I didn't have the Rage right off the bat. But also, when I looked down, I had a pretty good threat lead. And I try not to Death Wish. I'm not trying to parse. Most of the Naxx raids, I'm not trying to parse. Even when we have DMF. I'm more focused on... if I have enough threat, if you have enough threat, you shouldn't, like, look at my threat lead right now. I'm above the Ignite Mage is the one below me, and they were 40 or 35% threat below me to hit 100, and they don't pull at 100, they pull at 110, I think it is. So there's really no reason to Death Wish there. And reduce your armor, especially on a mob like Fairlena, who does. She can melee pretty hard. I do Death Wish on some other hard-hitting bosses, like Maxna is one, but that's because we're trying to push her into a one phase, which means kill her before the web wrap happens, and the warriors are going to wreck. And I can't, not that I can't wreck, but I don't wreck on Maxna, so I need to Death Wish there. I know that there's warriors out there who Death Wish on every single boss. We'll probably get to that point where I need to Death Wish on every boss in here. probably not patchwork, but you know, we just aren't really at that point yet. Like I said, I had plenty of threat. I knew I would have plenty of threat, so I didn't Death Wish. And Death Wish cost rage, and I didn't want to cast it right at the beginning. If I had 100 rage or 50 rage or whatever running into that fight, I probably would have Death Wished. So you just kind of got to be adaptive, adapt to the situation. If you screw up and you go in and you don't have any rage, learn from it, but don't do the same thing over and over just for the sake of doing the same thing over and over, if that makes sense. So here we pulled the gargoyles and the alkalites at the same time. We kind of accidentally did that, but obviously they were going to social. You kill the alkalites first, so all the raid is swapped to the alkalites. You see how fast they died, and we're not really taking that much damage. We had a conversation after this raid about maybe doing that on purpose going forward and just pulling gargoyles with alkalites because of how quick they died. And we have several, we have off tanks, so only 2 of us in this raid are Fury Prot and the other ones are Fury. But you don't need to be Fury Prot to tank trash, and you can even tank bosses as Fury and Naxx. You'll have an issue probably with threat on some bosses because you won't have Defiance, but you don't need to be Fury Prot to tank trash. Like, that's just not a thing. Last Stand helps out quite a bit, or can help out quite a bit, but we pulled the shade. I think someone had called out we need the shade for the run to count. So it dies fast, not a big deal. We skipped by it, but so we're gonna 1-phase Maxna. 1-phase means kill her before her web wrap, which really isn't a phase. Her web wrap is an ability. It's not like phase 2 of the fight, but that's what we call it, is 1-phasing her. So I carried over about 40 rage. It's ticking down. I've got 18 seconds on my blood rage. I did a really shit job at managing that, but like I said, I've been out for a week. Actually, I was out for 2 weeks, so that's my excuse. And and Slayers is on cooldown, which was stupid. But I have Death Wish up. I'm going to Death Wish on her. So I blow blood rage as soon as I can to get my rage back up. Here comes the pool. There was the timers. They were saying in Discord to go ahead and pull, even though the timer hadn't happened yet. So that's why I was stutter stepping there. I didn't want to run in by myself and get destroyed. So here I'm trying to. She will do a walk back if you're close enough. I'm trying to move. There she goes. So you see me stepping up sometimes. That's to push her backwards towards the wall. So it looks like I'm really far away, but her hitbox is huge, and obviously I can still hit her. So you see the web spray, it's 10 seconds. That's what we're trying to avoid. So the web spray is where she web wraps you for, I think it's 10 seconds. And normally as a tank, if you get web spray on you, you need to shield wall before the web spray happens. Because she web sprays the entire raid. You can cheese it with a paladin who with a soulstone. So you soulstone a paladin, and the paladin DIs somebody, like another healer, and then they resurrect themselves, and then you have 2 healers up. Usually, 2 paladins or a paladin and a druid or whatever, paladin and a priest. But we used to do that strategy because it's very safe. So if the tank misses or forgets to use a shield wall, it's not as big of a deal. But we're going to start 1-phasing her every time, even non-DMF week. So this is considered a non-DMF week because I'm the only one with DMF. And the only reason I had it, like I said, is because I was on vacation and I had booned it up before I left. So now we're going into A-Bomb Wing. We didn't have a FAP for that pull because I think the Warriors, in addition to Wrecking and Death Wishing, I think they were all Mighty Rage potted, so I don't think any of us had a FAP. It's not required to have a FAP for all of these pools. It's nice to have, but it's not required. At the pace that we kill them anyway. I mean, if your guild is in here and you're taking you know, 30 seconds or whatever to kill these A-bombs, or your range can pull off of you, then you might want to wait for FAPs in between. This one we do FAP, so I'm waiting there because the raid's kind of lagging behind, but we FAP on these because these stun as well. But then you FAP here, then you're not going to have FAP for the next room. So we do end up getting stunned in the next room, and that's just a consequence of going fast. Like, you're just not going to have... So now we all put on our Nomer helms. So we all of the DPS and melee, all of the melee DPS farm the Nomer helm off the last boss, which you'll see what it does here in a second. But it does this static charge lightning bolt thing, and it's kind of like a ranged sapper, and because melee cannot get close to those slimes or they'll die. So you might look at the Nomer helm and say, oh, like, it only did 700 damage, it only did 800 damage, or it only did, whatever. Yeah, but sappers also only do, 500 or 600 damage. It's when you have 20 or 30 people using them at the same time that it all adds up, and it's a lot. So things like that, every little bit helps. It helps clear this trash quicker and get through this, rather than just... So back in the day, before I joined Encore, what the warriors and melee DPS used to do was go sit in the corner and have a dance party. Because even you still could shoot your bow, right? But it's so I still have 20 seconds on my FAP. So here I get stunned. A lot of us get stunned here, I think. Luckily, I taunted it right before I got stunned, or that would have been bad, and someone probably would have lost their buffs. I should have been better about calling out that I didn't have a FAP ready. But anyway, even shooting the bow, like me fully world buffed, shooting my bow with thorium-headed arrows, I crit for like 650 or 600 or somewhere in that range. So, I mean, it's not a ton of damage, but it's not nothing. If you got all 8 or 10 of your warriors doing that, and they all crit, which, let's just say it's 400 damage, times 10 warriors, that's 4,000 damage. So here I'm trading for food. I forgot to ask for food earlier in the raid, so that's just me being rusty for being gone for 2 weeks. So these pools, we also challenging shout here. We have a challenging shout rotation that gets caught out in disc. These mobs you don't need to lip. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Just put on a shield. So you see there, or taunted. He didn't lip, but you can see his health is not really going down. And you just challenging shout. You try to get the monstrosity, the skull, down as fast as possible. The mages are all pre-casting fireballs and pyroblasts or whatever they're doing. And then they start AoEing after that. And once that monstrosity goes down, he goes down before the challenging shout wears off. So they see he died already. I mean, he just falls over. I mean, we use challenging shout quite a bit in Naxx. So here we're just killing the A-bombs that pat around. Patchwork is up near us, which is good because that means he's going to patrol away in a minute. We still have 3 packs left. So when he... waiting on Patchwork can also slow you down. So if you get to that last pack and then he starts patting away and you don't have healers and tanks ready, you're going to be waiting for 3 minutes. I don't know exactly how long it takes for him to pat, but it's not... It takes a minute. So somebody was calling out, hey, Patchwork just walked away, and we are kind of at the understanding right now that we're going to go right into him when he comes back. So we're not going to sit and wait and goof around and change gear. We know that when that last pack dies, you better be ready. So tanks and healers are making sure that I make sure that I have a little bit of rage from that last pack. Healers are drinking and, stay and drink. I think I've said this in other videos, but you know, I'm not a healer. I'm not a raid healer, obviously, but as a healer, you don't need every single healer up for trash. You don't, you know, if you have 12 healers in the raid, you don't need all 12 to pull a trash pack. You can do it with 8 or, you know, 7 or whatever. Especially, you know, we have a lot of paladins. We have 5 paladins in this raid. So, you know, we have 1 paladin per tank, and then maybe a priest or a druid or whatever. You can have 2 or 3 people drinking and stay drinking. So here I'm going to try to let my rage. I wasn't paying attention to my threat plates and stuff died a little. I thought there was another trash mob. So I ran over. You can smack those rats. That's a good idea. Usually we save those for tanks. You know, swap the soaker tanks, because the soaker tanks need to go in at full rage. I don't need to have full. I just need to have enough for a bloodthirst, essentially, because I'm going to pull them with my bow as well. So I'm at once I'm around 30. I blood rage right there. Okay, so I was going to say once I'm around 30, I'll blood rage, because that is basically guaranteeing that I have. He resisted my grenade, but I crit bloodthirst right off the bat. I'm critting the shit out of him. Now I'm gonna slide out to the right so that I don't parry him, or that he doesn't parry me, which means I would parry haste him. It's very easy to be the main tank on patch because, and I'm wearing 4-piece tier 3. I'm not wearing anything crazy. I'm not wearing a shield. I do put a shield on a few times during this fight, but mages with ignite can catch you, so you can very easily stay above the soaker tanks, but you need to make sure that you are staying above the mage. So here I put on a shield right there, and I'm just doing that because I have such a comfortable threat lead. I still have Earth Strike that I can use. The mage starts to catch a little bit here in a second, and I start worrying because ignite can really start getting crazy. So here I go back to dual wielding. Now I'm going to blow Earth Strike. I go back to his shield when we get close to his enrage. So here you see the warriors death wishing. In my weak aura, you see death wish popping up. DPS should have 0 chance of catching you as the main tank. The soaker tanks, it's fine for range to pass the soaker tanks, but the melee cannot pass the soaker tanks. So yeah, I'm not wearing any crazy gear. I'm wearing 4-piece tier 3, and then the rest pieces are mostly threat pieces. Here I put a shield back on. I don't last stand. I probably should have preemptively last standed, but I've got 12k health. The healers are really good. Patchwork goes down. Don't die to Frogger. This is a stupid way to lose buffs. You want to run right behind them. You don't run in between them. You want to run right behind the one that just passed you, because sometimes you might have a little latency, and the next one coming, you know, if you get within, you might on your client or on your game, it might look like you're 10 yards away, but it blows up anyway. I've seen a lot of people lose buffs because they could have swore they were right in between them. Don't run between them. You need to run directly behind the one that just passed in front of you. Like within like 3 yards, like run like right behind it, 3 yards away. Don't touch the color of it, you know, the animation of it, but just run like right behind it. Then there's 0 chance of you dying. All right, so we jump across, we bandage, we eat to help save healer mana. Kind of just goes back to that, you know, that team mentality of, you know, every little bit helps, and every little bit of efficiency, you know, like I've said this in other videos, but drinking for mana takes a long time, especially when you got all your world buffs out. Even using the highest amount of water, the highest rank of mage water, drinking takes a long time. You don't want healers drinking. That's going to slow you down as much as possible, or you want them drinking as little as possible, because drinking slows you down. So if you can bandage and eat, or, you know, whatever you need to do, pop a health stone and ask a warlock for another one. Help your healers out as much as you can. So here we're pet pulling the next pack. Grobulus, I think, is up top. We're calling it out in Discord. So again, we're calling out things. So, and the hunters are saying, hey, he's up the ramp. He's coming down. We like to pull him to the bottom of the ramp. We don't want him in the middle of the room. That's just how we like to fight him. So we know that we're going right in, like we're going to go in very soon after this fight. So I'm pulling my rage, even though I'm not tanking Grobulus. Hoon tanks Grobulus here. I'm tanking. I'm supposed to tank Slimes, I think, but I end up just DPSing. And I don't really swap my gear. I don't think I do. So here I'm rebuffing some of the stuff I was missing. Yeah, me and Order on Slimes. Sometimes we get a lot of Slimes. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get 1 or 2 and that's it. So I'm just meleeing. I'm trying not to... I think I crit a couple times in a row here. Yeah, so I'm catching up. So I'm trying to not... And there's not like a huge threat lead over the other melee. I'm just what I try to do on Grobulus is I'm watching out for Slimes, obviously, but I'm trying to get second on threat. So just in case the tank dies, because sometimes tanks do die. They take, back-to-back crushings or, whatever happens. So now I'm pretty far down on the threat list and I swapped into Berserker stance. Now I'm just DPSing because he's almost dead anyway. This was a pretty fast Grobulus. And as a tank, you're just backing him up. You can see Hoon's backing him up. Every time he drops a poison cloud, you back him up. So you see the poison clouds. You don't want the melee DPS standing in those. Now we're going on to Gluth, and I do main tank this one. This is pretty much a tank and spank. There's an off tank that we use for the ads that does Piercing Howl. So you probably won't be able to see it, but we have a paladin who will spam Blessing of Kings. And what that does is it causes the ads to get aggro onto him, because spamming Blessing of Kings on warriors, it generates a lot of threat because there's so many of us. And then the warrior off tank has Piercing Howl. He sticks right next to the paladin and he keeps all the mobs slowed with Piercing Howl. So that way that you basically run in a big giant circle in the room, and then the ads never get to Gluth. Because if they get to Gluth, then he heals. So I drag him all the way across the room. So I'm going to Berserker Rage here. And then I'm going to swap to D-Stance. Then I'm going to Berserker Rage, or not Berserker Rage, Blood Rage. Drink my Stone Shield. And I'm not blowing Death Wish on him for the same reason I didn't blow it on Fairlina, because I looked down and I had a huge threat lead. Hoon is kind of catching up, but I think Hoon's just playing chase like I was doing. He's in defensive stance, I think. Maybe he's not. Maybe he just doesn't have salve, since he just tanked that boss. You want to call out when you don't have Fear Ward. Gluth does a fear, an AoE fear. You need to have Fear Ward up 100%. So you see the Terrifying Roar over on the left above my buffs. So there, I lost Fear Ward, and then bam, I got another Fear Ward. So you can get out of that. You can Berserker Rage out of it, obviously, if you can time it right. Going into Berserker stance is risky. You can also, Death Wish. Death Wish breaks fear. I use it as a fear break a lot of the times on trash in certain raids. So here, I went to the right here, even though it says my assignment is left, because in Discord we were talking about, so me and Ort are the only two Fury Prots. The other two are Fury, and somebody had said, hey, shouldn't we split the Fury Prots? And I thought that they had said for me to go right, but then I looked and I saw Ort standing on top of me, and that's when I said, hey, do you want me on the left or the right? Because it says, I'm on the left, but I thought you just said to go to the right. And then they said, no, go over there. So we pulled our side a little bit late. But these guys, you need to put Stone Shield on. Stalag can hit for quite a bit. He actually almost kills me in a minute. So I put on Stone Shield. As a free Prot, you're just drinking Stone, you're chain chugging Stone Shields. I think I drank 15 this raid. I'd have to go back and look. You should expect to burn, I bring 20 with me every raid. And you should expect to burn close to that number. If you think you're gonna wipe a lot, bring more than that. Yeah, right here he almost kills me. I put a shield on. I got so worried. I didn't blow Last Stand, which is stupid. I should have blown Last Stand. But our healers are really good. If you've seen some of my videos and you think, hey, you're probably could be a little more liberal with your Stone Shield and Hellstone usage. Yeah, I probably should be. I'm kind of conditioned to just know that I've got heals coming in, and so Thaddeus, you keep seeing us taunt. So we do positives on the left and negatives on the right. So I'm on the left right now. We do a 4 tank taunt rotation. And the reason that we do is because of Ignite. Mages, right now, this is not a great example of it. You can see, oh, there comes Alibaba. Here he comes. Look at that Ignite. Look at the threat down there on the left. And look at the damage on the damage meter. He's at 4,000 damage per second. I think he just lipped right there because he disappeared from the threat meter, or he petried, or I don't know what he did. Nope, he's not up there again. So Ignite on Thaddeus does a ton of damage, and basically what we do with a 4 tank rotation is there's always a taunt up on the boss. You can do it with 3, but if you have a resist, it can screw it up, and your mage can die. So yeah, 4.5k threat per second, or excuse me, damage per second. So yeah, on Thaddeus, if your mages are coordinated and pumping out that Ignite damage, there's no way to keep up. It's not possible. We're Fury. Even if I was in full threat gear, it's not possible to keep up with the threat that thing generates. So you really need to do a taunt rotation like what we were just doing. So now I think we're going to military. Yeah, military. So I leave on 4-piece tier 3. You can see in my helmet, but I have 4-piece. It's helmet, chest, bracers, and ring. Those are the best pieces to wear for 4-piece bonus as Fury Prot, because, and maybe I'll do a separate video on this stuff later, but on all my gear sets. But you want those pieces because they don't have block rating or block value on them, and those stats suck. You very rarely have a shield out, so you don't want, like, I want the pieces that give me the most, that give me the bonus, the 4-piece bonus, which is your revenge does more damage, which equals more threat, is the 2-piece. Then the 4-piece is taunt. Your taunt gets a 10% chance more to hit, or is it? No, it's not 10%. It's I'm not in the game right now. It gives your taunt a higher percentage of hit. It's not guaranteed, but in military you don't want a taunt to resist because this stuff hits hard, but also you want to be a little chunkier. So even our melee DPS put on chunky gear, what we call chunky gear, in military. And for them, that means, if you have leather boots and leather chest and leather gloves for your max DPS, take that shit off and put on 2.5 and plate. Like, put on, and even if it's not optimized for DPS, like, you just don't want to lose your world buffs to a cleave or a whirlwind or whatever, because, I want to do 5 more DPS or 20 more, whatever. Like, losing your world buffs is going to cut your DPS down by like a third. You don't want that, because you're trying to, what are you going to parse on trash? Who cares? I mean, we still fly through this trash. You can see it. there's DPS warriors and melee rogues don't really have a choice. Rogues have leather and that's it. But rogues will blow vanish quite a bit in military wing to stay alive. So here, the Death Knight captains, you need to pull them out because they do whirlwind, and you need to disarm them. They're dying very fast here, but Death Knight captains will kill people. So Death Knights can be stacked. They don't whirlwind or do anything. You can stack the Death Knights and have them cleave down. The Death Knight captains, you want to demo shout them, and then you want to, if you have disarm up, you want to get disarm up on them, and you want to pull them to the side where if they start whirlwinding, people have room to get out. Like right there, you see them whirlwinding. Everybody backs up because they do a knockdown, and they basically chain stun you and kill you. And again, our healers are really good. No one died there. People are rolling out fear wards because some of these mobs do fear. Stuff is just melting. Warriors are charging, but it's, whatever, not a big deal. So here the hunter is calling out in Discord, hey, the patrol is right beneath us. So I take off early because I knew that guy was about to die. And I'm trying to be at the front of the group because he went ahead and pulled the patrol. So we did get lucky with our patrols also in this run, that we didn't have to wait for them. We didn't wait hardly at all for patrols. And these trash packs, we just keep on rolling. These mobs, the horse mobs you can tank, the other mobs, the ones on the side that the dwarfs and the whatever, they randomly drop aggro. I got death coil there. They randomly will drop aggro, so you don't, you can use a taunt to fixate them, but they die very fast. So just Bloodthirst and Cleave. Don't bother with Heroic Strike because threat doesn't matter as much on them. These horses trample. They charge and trample. Usually there's a catch tank in the clothies that'll grab them and pull them out. These mobs we normally Death Wish on this pull right here. We didn't because we're going to Death Wish on Raz. This week we're trying a different Raz strategy where we MC I think they MC'd all 4 of the ads at the same time instead of doing 2 at a time. And then we're just having our warriors blow Death Wish, and I don't think we wrecked here though. I don't remember. I think maybe we did wreck. I don't remember. So that's why we didn't Death Wish on that pool. If you've seen us Death Wish on that pool in the past. So we're just finishing out so see he ran off. Now tank, there should have been a tank there we're lucky that mage didn't die. Leave a tank or 2 in the raid to grab those and taunt them because they will one-shot a clothy. So now we're talking in Discord. I put on chunky gear on this fight. That's what I've always done because if an ad breaks MC and then Raz starts running loose, I'm going to taunt him and shield wall. So I want as much hit points as possible, and I'm tanking one of the ads, and they don't... Like, my role here is not to DPS. Now, I do go in DPS Raz when I don't have an ad on me, but my goal on this fight, even with the other strategy that we use, is to hold the ad and take as little damage possible, meaning I require as little healing as possible, and then be chunky enough that I can grab Raz and shield wall and live through it, which I've done it before. So here I decide I'm going to run up, I'm going to just pump out some heroic strikes and a couple bloodthirsts, and then an ad gets out and I taunted it. Luckily it didn't kill that rogue, so that one broke a little early. I think that rogue owes me a beer. So you don't want to demo shout. If you're tanking the ads, you don't demo shout and you don't sunder, because when they get MC'd, those debuffs will carry over. So here Raz is dying. Now these ads do hit hard on clothies. So you see everybody's blowing sappers, even though so they're going to break MCs one at a time. So we're saying in Discord, hey, stop. Let the tanks pick them up. There, I have a taunt resist. Because normally those ads die super fast right after a Raz goes down, but we're releasing them one at a time to be safer. So here are some dangerous trash. Swords, axes, staves. Double axes are very dangerous. You want to pull them apart from each other. Double staves can be dangerous because they do arcane explosion. You want to pull them apart. Or you want to have the raid do arcane pots. The swords are not that dangerous. Swords, if you get double swords, you can stack them. So here we're trying to separate the axes a little bit. They do whirlwinds. I'm trying to keep them separate but close. You don't want them to be miles apart. Try to save a little rage. Hit a rat here and there. These are padding into us. I think the axes pad into us next. So swords, you stack them, you cleave them, you whirlwind them. They're not a big deal. Here I grab the staff, whatever. It dies in 5 seconds. Somebody went too far out, and then here comes the axe. It was sitting there because it was thinking about casting Whirlwind, I think. So this always happens. Somebody almost always pulls an extra pack. Either clear the whole room or, if you're not trying to be as fast and efficient as possible, just clear, the whole room. It's better than pulling an extra one and wiping. Kill the Necronites first. Now we're going right into these horses. Stack the horses, cleave them. Now we're going into the next pack. I throw a grenade. Kill the Necronites first, and then there were captains in this, so that captain melted. This one's got disarm up. I refresh disarm just because I don't like captains. Now I'm normally the third position on live side, but then we swapped it, so I'm running over to my usual third position, and then I looked at Angry Era and realized, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be on dead side. So I switched to dead side. I think they switched it because I had DMF. So I'm looking at my debuff, or not my debuffs, I'm looking at my buffs, seeing if I need to refresh anything. I'm not using Rumsy Rum or Elixir of Armor. I'm probably going to stop using Elixir of Greater Armor, which is 450 armor for an hour. I'll probably just quit using it because, for one, I had DMF, and I still have Rend, and I still have Songi for 13 more minutes right now. But 450 armor, so in BCT, I cancel Holy Paladin's Tier 3 bonus, which is 700 armor. And if I'm canceling that, then why do I let 450 armor... So for Elixir of Armor is usually one of the first things that gets dropped off, right? Because it's lower on the priority system. But I'm going to start, I think, not using it. Like, I don't think it makes as much sense. So these guys are all running up. I try not to run away from the pile over here. You don't want to get too far away from your healers. So you want to stay kind of close to the pile. Because when you're assigned to the middle, you have, so they can spawn right there on that, and they can spawn on the two far away piles there. So you want to try to stay, really what we should be doing is letting those come to us at the pile. But it's difficult to keep brown boys in line. They like to zug. I got a double parry there. That's my usual luck with openers. And these guys are the more dangerous ones. So the ghosts are not super dangerous. I mean, they cast Arcane Explosion, but yeah, the riders and the knights are the ones that you want to make sure are not hitting any DPS. I probably shouldn't even be using abilities on these. I probably should just be gaining rage. I mean, those things are just dying so fast. Here comes a Death Knight. 2 crits on him. There goes another one. Taunt. He died in 2 seconds. This one I had taunt on cooldown. This one kind of got away. I probably should have tried to cleave right there. Or I could have challenging shouted. Because I don't need challenging shout for a while. I was slowed there. Taunted off the rogue. And we're calling out in Discord. They're saying, on the live side, they're saying, hey, rider on its way. So we know when they're coming. So this is all you do for Gothic. This can be a hard fight, for sure. Dead side is harder than the live side, in my opinion. So here I think here comes a rider. There's a horse. Something wonky happened with my mouse right there, and it wouldn't let me move forward. I think the laser freaked out. Okay, we have 12, or what does that say? 30 seconds before Gothic engages. So we're just keep communicating, killing trash. We used to shackle some stuff on the live side. But we don't really do that anymore because we used to. So you can shackle stuff on the live side, and then it keeps your dead side from getting overwhelmed. And we actually are looking at. You see in the top right of my screen there, the hunter's trying to jump up on that wall. He's trying to learn how to jump over that gate because you can pull trash. You can get up over that gate and pull trash into this room from. And so, right now, we're sitting here doing nothing. Gothic doesn't come over for. He's less than 50%, but my taunt got resisted there. I'm mocking blow here in a second. Because you have to taunt him. But anyway, you can pull that shade, and you can pull some of not gargoyles, the ghouls into the room, so that way this trash is already cleared. But if you're in a guild and you guys are attempting Gothic, or you're struggling with it because it is hard, then you can shackle stuff and then save it for after Gothic is dead and then kill it. Or when Gothic teleports to the dead side, then have the live side tanks pick up the shackles. We just don't do that strategy anymore. So here we're going to run down, get these gargoyles. So here in the future, we're probably going to start grabbing these gargoyles with these alkalites. I think we do it on accident here. Oh no, didn't this time. But we talked. We'll probably do that in the future, just to speed it up. Because as you can see, you're just sitting here waiting. Like, so that's another 10 seconds we could have cut off. When you go through and add up all the trash. So here we're stopping because those gargoyles. We probably should have just killed those gargoyles right there, because we probably could have killed them for as long as we just sat here and waited. But when you go back and look at your raids, 10 seconds on this trash pack, 5 seconds on that trash pack, 5 seconds on that trash pack, 8 seconds on this. You go through and you add it up, and then you're like, oh, we just by changing the way we move through the raid and how we pull, we can cut out 10 minutes. And that's when you're, let's say your raid averages 2 hours and 10 minutes. Well, most consumes are an hour long, so you're consuming 3 times for that extra 10 minutes. So if you get it down to sub 2 hours, or let's say it takes you 3 hours, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can get it down to 2.5, you're still using those hour-long consumes for that extra half hour, but then your half-hour ones like Juju's, you don't have to do. You get to save one, so you're cutting down your overall cost for your raid by speeding up. By being efficient. You don't have to be a speedrunning guild to speed up. And I don't think we're ever going to be a speedrunning guild. I don't think that's our thing. But so our goal was to be at or below an hour and a half for both of our Naxx teams. And this past week we did it on both teams. One hit an hour 20. And before that, their best I think was an hour 32 or an hour 33. And then we hit an hour 23, and our best before that was like an hour 35. So we're below an hour and a half now, and we're going to keep improving, but we're not. That's our goal is not to. We're not trying to hit a specific time. Now we're going to focus more on our strats and what order we do the wings in to get more efficient, and then by doing that, we're going to get faster. But we could easily get to an hour 15 consistently. So here's 4 horsemen. We're getting ready to pull. We're going to do a 2-stack. Mulgrain and Thane get stacked together. I'm on Mulgrain. I have fire resist gear on, and I have a fire rune or a frozen rune, and I have a shadow pot on. So right here you're going to see a lot of sappers going out. They're just trying to do so we're cleaving and whirlwinding these bosses on the way back. So the strategy here is to burn Thane down till he blows shield wall, swap to Mulgrain until he blows shield wall, then swap back to Thane and wreck. So right now you see everybody's using Death Wish. Like they're just trying to burn, get these guys down to their shield wall. And then, like I said, when they shield wall, they swap back to the other mob. Now they're blowing wreck. You can see wreck over in the left-hand side of my screen, which I need to adjust that. So we try to kill both of these guys before Mark 4, or like right before, right as Mark 4 is going out, because then you can survive it with the Shadow Pot. Mark 5, it starts to get sketchy. So we killed him. Now we're running away. We have Zeliek in the far right corner where Mulgrain used to sit, and we have Blamo in the left corner. Everybody's going to the safe zone. Not everybody, but people who don't have another assignment are going to the safe zone. Right here, the Lady B tank dies, and I didn't realize what was happening until they said it in Discord, but he actually got distracted by his wife. So I run in and taunt because you don't want that horseman to be... You want the horseman to stay as far away from the middle as possible so the middle stays a safe zone, because those marks have like a 45 yard range or something, or 60. It's a crazy range. I forget what it is. You want them to be as close to the corners as possible. So here I'm still wearing my Mulgrain stuff. Not great for threat because I do have 2 pieces of Actually, it looks like I'm wearing my tier 3 helmet. I should be wearing dark iron helmet, dark iron leggings. So I need to check my item rack now that I'm watching this VOD. Because item rack says Mograine. So my Mograine set is the dark iron helmet and legs, and then a bunch of a couple pieces of tier 3. Because Mograine, his fire damage hits hard. His melee is basically the same as the other one's melee, which is not that. They don't hit that hard really. But the fire, his righteous fire, does a lot. So if you can resist some of that, that's why I also pop a frozen rune to absorb some of that fire damage. So that's 4 horsemen. That was very fast. Most guilds don't. Most guilds put them in 4 corners and then rotate, which is again totally fine strat to do. We used to do it that way as well. But if you're going for efficiency, as you can tell, obviously that the method we just did kills them a lot faster. And in this day and age, the reason why you're Fury Prot is to kill things fast. Like, you generate a ton of threat so that your DPS can go all out, so that you can go faster. If you want to go slow, then you just get some prot warriors, I guess. But going faster, is better for everybody. It's better for the healers. It's better for the DPS because they get to parse and they get to be happy. They're not bored. The tanks, I mean, there's more buttons to press as prot, but it's not. You don't get to see the big numbers you get to see as Fury. Like, as Fury Prot, you're basically a Fury warrior. And with full raid buffs out, or world buffs out, Fury Prot is a lot of fun. Like, you do a ridiculous amount of damage for a tank. I lost Rend. I didn't lose it, but it's expiring. So here we're just clearing this trash. We're going to go kill the gargoyles. And then we're going to stop on the stairs and eat so that we can go to the last pack of gargoyles and carry that rage into the boss. So stack these up. Cleave, Whirlwind, Sapper, whatever you got. So here I'm just rebuffing myself. Oh, the pack came. Who got it? So right here, I know we're going to sit and eat. Oh wait, we were discussing sitting and eating. Somebody got too far forward. That's what happened. Because we had 4 stacks. Usually we stop at 4 stacks, is where we decide to stop and sit and eat. So now we got a lot of stacks. Now we got 6. So now we're in Discord saying, hey, don't move, sit and eat this time. And then I'm going to rebuff my stones and whatever. And then we're saying in Discord also, by the way, we are taking this into the next boss. So we're going to go in the Naxx with full rage, everybody. Whatever mana you want to get, you get it now. Did I blood rage? Oh no, I didn't blood rage there. Somehow I got in combat there. So here, again, stack them. At some point, I quit casting abilities. I'm letting my rage build up. Now I'm at 100. And I'm tanking Naxx, so I'm going to go right into him. Sometimes we go into the left. So you see some people going to the left and the regulator's saying, hey, what are you doing? Go in. Go get the boss. So I'm Death Wishing. Naxx is a pansy, so don't worry about Death Wish. So Death Wish, now Naxx will blink at some point. It's pretty much impossible. I don't want to say it's impossible. It's very difficult to kill him before the blink. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible. When he blinks, he drops aggro. So you need to get a big threat lead. Like I have a humongous threat lead right now. And And I think he blinks in a random direction too. I should be letting my rage build up. I should be getting up to 100 rage about now. But I'm casting Heroic Strike. I still have Blood Rage. I still have areas. We tried to taunt. He's untauntable. I got him back, but look at the threat on the Fire Mage. I mean, the Fire Mage, I think he got a bop right there. I mean, Ignite is just crazy. Then he blinked. He's jumping around. He luckily didn't die. usually casters die on Noth. Mages, not warlocks. Because of Ignite. So if they don't have a Petri or a Lip or a Bop or something ready, they usually die right after Blink right after Noth blinks. So there's Noth. Because another thing you could do is just let Ignite drop, but obviously that we're not about that life. And I probably in the future should just save Death Wish for when he blinks. Maybe that would be a good strategy for me to use too, but it's just so hard to catch up to that Ignite. I mean, it's just nuts on some fights what that debuff can do to bosses. I mean, it's a lot. Maybe I'll do a video reviewing our logs from one of our Naxx runs and show you guys, just because our mage core is very coordinated. Our mage class lead is a very intelligent person, and they have our mage class lead is basically in charge of boss debuffs, meaning how many debuffs are allowed to go up and which ones are allowed to go up in order to maximize melee and caster damage. And he also has optimized the mages in the rotation and how they cast Scorch, when they cast Pyroblast, that sort of thing, to just maximize Ignite damage on bosses. And it's pretty impressive what those guys can do. So here I tried to change my gear. We didn't drop combat. I got somebody ran in the room. I'm not tanking this boss because I'm tanking Lotheb, and I'm going to pre-pop a Shadow Pot so that my cooldown is up to use Stone Shield on Lotheb. So here in a second you'll see me pop a Shadow Pot because Hygen doesn't do any shadow damage. I should have already popped it, but my brain is still a little mushy. So right here, there, I pop Shadow Pot. Because if you tank Hygen, if your Lotheb tank is tanking Hygen, then you'll be using a Stone Shield on Hygen. Because even the bosses that don't hit that hard, you still want to use a Stone Shield. And then you'll have to sit there and wait at Lotheb for 2 minutes. You're going to say, okay, I popped a Stone Shield, but it's still got a minute left. Then you pop a Shadow Pot. Okay, now you got to wait 2 minutes for me to pop because I want to have Stone Shield up on Lotheb. So you're just you're crushing your time. Not in a good way. So Hygen, you do the dance. He doesn't live long enough to actually port to where the ranged are and do the safety dance for the whole raid. But if he lives that long in your raid, you just have to do the safety dance without him. Run back and forth. It's not terribly difficult. So I'm swapping into my Mitt gear. I've got 50 seconds left on my cool. So I should have popped Shadow Pop as soon as we engaged Hygen, or even during the trash before, because I don't think that any of that trash does shadow damage either. I should have popped it right after my cooldown came up after Noth, but so it's at 30 seconds, which is not a big deal. So our healers change. You see the raid warning. Healers hop down. Healers have their own dedicated channel in Discord for Horsemen and for Lotheb, where the healers can talk and be coordinated and not have the rest of the raid talking, or the other raid leaders. Swapping into my rage belt, which gives me rage. When I use it, I should have put it on the way here. Again, my brain's a little mushy. So Ort says pull in 20 seconds, and I know that's not enough time for my belt, so I asked him to reset it to 20. And he, right around here, I think he resets it to 20. So I'm going to use the Rage Belt, swap it out for Tier 3, and then immediately Blood Rage so I don't lose the Rage. So use it, swap, Blood Rage. Now I'm going in with 40, almost 50 Rage. So I can Bloodthirst right off the bat. So my Bloodthirst didn't crit, but oh well. So I start off dual wielding just for a few seconds, and then I swap to a shield. Get Demo Shout up quick. I should have used Slayers right there. I'm taking too long to use Slayers. Got dangerously close to that Spore. So I'm just taking little tiny steps. I don't want the boss to really move. I'm just taking little tiny steps to position him. I still never popped Slayers. It was on cooldown when I went in, I think, from swapping my gear. So I think I think that I thought I had already done it. And I'm not really looking at my bars. So now this is one of the benefits of going back and looking at your VODs later. There I blew Slayers there now, and it's not needed. So basically you want to get as much threat as possible right off the rip, because until every group gets a Spore, they're going to be right on your heels for threat, because you're in full mitt for Lotheb. You need to be as defensive as possible. So you can see I do have DPS trinkets on. I've got my Undead trinket, which is 150 attack power, and then my Slayer's Crest. But Lotheb doesn't necessarily hit hard. I mean, he can chonk you down, but the issue with Lotheb is that healers can only heal once per minute. So I'm not really wasting rage on shield block until the other groups get the Spore. Because you can see I have a huge threat lead now. Because when they get the Spore, they don't get threat. They're none of their abilities cause threat, and they have like 70% or 80% crit or something. So I'm taking Saffron, so I'm trying to stay away from the Spores. So you go in the portal, it immediately ports you to Saffron. For Saffron, as a tank, you don't wear Frost Resist. Your DPS and your so the main tank and the healers don't wear Frost Resist. And the healers don't because they can heal themselves. I think they do 2 heals for the raid and then 1 heal for themselves. And then 2 heals for the raid and then 1 something like that. Or maybe it's 3 to 1, something like that. The tank is gonna get healed by taking damage from the boss, and yes, you could wear Frost Resist, but it's really not worth it to wear Frost Resist as a tank. The rogues and hunters and mage, like everybody else, should absolutely wear. I think we ask for, when we have world buffs out, we ask for a minimum of 100 and I think it's 100 Frost Resist. Unbuffed, and then if we don't have world buffs out, we want it to be 150 minimum. So I think it's something like that. I normally wear more than that when I'm if I'm not tanking Saffron, I wear like 230 Frost Resist. So I have a lot, but that's just because I want to take as little healing as possible. I want the tank to live. So, you know, Saffron is kind of a DPS race because you don't want your healers to run out of mana. But we're at the point with our raids and our raid teams that we're comfortable with how we have it set up. So if you guys have your Saffron, melee wearing in range DPS, whatever, wearing more Frost Resist, that's probably fine. But just letting you know, like when you watch this kill, I think he only does 1 air phase. So we do have world buffs out, but you don't need a ton of Frost Resist for Saf. Like you need to have some ballin' ass healers is what you need. So here I'm starting off dual wielding again. So get Stone Shield up, get Demo Shout up, and just start pumping. Like you want to pump for a good 20 seconds or so and then swap to a shield. Like you can see I have a huge threat lead, but the Warriors are going to Death Wish right off the rip because most of our Saffron attempts, you can Death Wish twice. I mean, Saffron is just, for one, because you're doing less DPS because you're wearing Frost Resist gear, but also just because when he does his air phase, there's nothing you can do. You can't really damage him. So here I'm getting a Blizzard on me. You don't want to move left and right. Just move back. So I move back until I see the debuff disappear, and then I stand still. So even though it looks like sometimes maybe this stuff is hitting me, if I don't have the debuff of Blizzard on me, then I don't move. All right, so here we're spreading out. We're calling out where are the blocks. There's one right behind me. I'm trying to see where am I going to go. Right now I'm going to go right there where that one just landed. One just went behind me. Okay. Now I'm going to get back to where I was as quickly as possible. Get demo shout up, which it's already up. Keep your shield on and just keep pumping threat. Because you're in full mitt, so you need to pump as much threat as you can. Blood Rage came off cooldown, get Blood Rage up. Get that rage. Just pumping Heroic Strikes. You can see I'm just queuing Heroic Strike non-stop. Always Heroic Striking. Always be striking. So now you can see Sven's starting to catch up to me a little bit here. The Warriors are starting to catch up. I got Blizzards behind me, but I don't have the debuff, so I'm not moving. My rage is at 100. Start Battle Shouting, Heroic Striking. Battle Shout. I don't think anyone's in range of me, but it's just a habit. Battle Shout does more threat than Sunder. If you have more than, I think it's 3 targets in range, or including yourself. Keep Demo Shout up. You want Demo Shout on bosses all the time. Even the ones that hit really weak. So here I just take a little half step back. Stay away from Blizzard. And he's dead. Normally we have at least 2 air phases, so that was very fast. Our DPS this run was very, very good. Alright, so Saffron down. And I have cooldown on my pot because I repotted Stone Shield in there. So some bosses you use Stone Shield twice. Lotheb, I think I used Stone Shield twice. Saffron. I don't think there's another one. I think there's maybe 4 Horsemen. I don't think I do. Maybe I use one there. I don't know. I don't remember because I normally don't use a Stone Shield on Mulgrain because I blow a Shadow Pot and then I blow the Frozen Rune and then my Stone Shield's not up, and because we don't sit there and wait on the cooldown. I'd rather have a Shadow Pot on 4 Horsemen than Stone Shield. So we're going to run straight in the circle. We usually sit and wait, like right here, and we sit and wait for people to, rebuff, do their thing. You can get in the circle and eat. Like if you sit down right now and eat, you're fine. We're not in combat yet. So you can rebuff, you can eat, you can drink, there's combat. So you get, 10 seconds or however long that was. And again, it's just trying to be as efficient as possible. You want your healers and anyone with a mana bar really to just be in the mindset of like, I'm not going to have a chance. If I drain my mana to 0, I'm not going to have a full, 30 seconds to fill that back up. I'm going to get 10 seconds here and 10 seconds there and 10 seconds there. You just need to be drinking all the time. Like we call it drink walking or drink running or something like that. And you can like ingrain that in the lower raids like Molten Core or BWL or AQ20 or AQ or not AQ ZG. Just it's harder in those raids because there's not as many healers, but like an MC, if you've got 10 healers or whatever, and you only need 8, or you have 12 and you only need 10, like just say, okay, we're bringing extra healers, but we're going to be chain pulling everything. We want you guys to get used to, sit and drink, stand up, heal, sit and drink, stand up and heal. And just get them used to, or, chain chugging mana pots, which that can get expensive. Our healers are really, really, really good. And they know when to downrank. They know when they can downrank and use, almost no mana. Like Holy Paladins with enough plus healing gear can spam rank 1 Flash of Light until the end of time. It's not possible to run out of mana, especially with world buffs. I think with world buffs, they said they can cast rank 4 or 5 indefinitely. Somebody just pulled that whole group on the left. You don't want skeletons to... you don't want to get close to skeletons. So you see all the ranged are blowing them up, and as melee, you don't want to get close to the skeletons. So anyway, yeah, it's just being efficient, and it's not about speedrunning. Like I said, it's just about, we don't want to spend 4 hours a night in BWL, and we don't want to spend, we don't want to split Naxx into 2 nights. We don't want to have 2-3 hour nights in Naxx. That's expensive as hell. Like, we can run Naxx 3 weeks for the same amount of cost and consumables that another guild, might take where they split it across, 2 different 3 hour nights. And if you're still learning it, like, that's totally cool. But, we are always trying to get better. Always try to get better and try to get more efficient and try to learn, where can you shave some time off? And we're always changing up the order of bosses. Like, what are we going to change the order of a wing? Or how are we going to, like our 4 horsemen strat? We used to do the 4 corner strat. And we used to do the 4 corner strat and have 10 people die, And that was 6 months ago. And now we're stacking Thane and Mulgrain and moving Zeliek to a closer corner, and we're killing 4 horsemen in, 2 minutes or whatever it is. It's just, all about being as efficient as you can, even as a tank. Carry your rage over. You don't have to dump all your rage into every mob you're attacking. Watch the threat meter. Like, you don't have to watch the threat meter just to see who's close to you. You can see who's not close to you and say, hey, I'm just going to auto attack and carry my rage into the next, and my blood rage is up. So now I can carry that rage over for another good 30 seconds. Because it takes time for that to decay. So we're just killing all these ads. We still have a minute for KT engages. We will split our groups up. We have a tank on one side. So if Kel'Thuzad is 360 degrees, so he's got a front, a back, a left, and a right. The tank is in the front, and then we have melee groups on the left and the right and the back. And they stack on each other to avoid chaining the Frost Blast, or Frost Tomb, or whatever it's called. I think it's called Frost Blast. Because if you have melee all spread around Kel'Thuzad, the Frost Blast will chain to everybody. And you don't want that, because people will absolutely die. And you'll see that later in this video. You'll see I end up tanking Kel'Thuzad near the end, and I get Frost Blasted because one of the melee groups was too close to me. Which sucks, because Blizzard removed the slash range 10 or slash range 15 or whatever command. Like, they made it where that information is not available anymore via API. So you used to be able to do like slash range 10 in DBM, and then it would tell you if you were too close to somebody. So now you kind of got to eyeball it. So we're just killing these weavers. Now we're running the Kel'Thuzad. I'm assigned to Diamond, so I'm going to where the Diamond is. So we have a main tank. Now Kel'Thuzad will... Kel'Thuzad does Frostbolt Volley, which is uninterruptible. He does a Frostbolt, which is interruptible. So you'll see... So that's one reason why we have these marks. So one reason is so that we can call out the interrupts. So we have our rogue class lead is saying, Circle, you're up. Star, you're up. Diamond, you're up. So the MC just went out. It's a threat wipe. Hoon's got it, but he has Death Wish up, which sucks. And Hoon just died. Because Kel'Thuzad hits hard. He hits really hard. So now I'm trying to get it from the Ignite. You can see Ignite is just like such a pain in the butt. So you can see Kel'Thuzad's chasing the Ignite mage. The mage thankfully quit casting. He almost gets there right when I get threat. So I'm getting threat. We're calling it out. We're saying, I'm saying I'm repositioning him. Everybody get away. Get back in your groups. Get tightened up. So you can see, so here in a second, square gets frost blasted and it somehow hits me. It looks like they're far enough away to me, but somebody in that group was close enough to chain it to me. So the MC is a threat wipe. Everybody needs to quit attacking and let a tank pick it up. It's very difficult to recover from. We're lucky that we recovered. If people don't quit casting. So I'm wearing 4-piece tier 3 here. You don't need to be full mitt or even have a shield on for Kel'Thuzad. I do take a lot of damage here in a minute. So I'm just pumping out as much threat as I can. For one, because I'm worried about Ignite coming back up the threat meter. But also, so right there I got frost blasted. So here comes the Guardians of Icecrown. Normally we have a Paladin spamming Kings that picks all them up, and then he just died. So we have a very bad situation going on here. I'm going to demo shout and try to get the ads in the demo shout. So you want to keep demo shout up 100% of the time on all bosses, including Kel'Thuzad. He does hit hard. He just crushed me for 3,300. I mean, he hits hard. His normal melee is 2,000. So I'm going to blow Last Stand here in a second, because he's close to death, and then I still get low, so I blow Healthstone right there, and a Whipperroot Tuber, and I still got low, so right here I blow Shield Wall. So I look over at the raid frames and see a ton of people dead, and I start freaking out because I thought, we're about to wipe. Blow all your cooldowns, stay alive as long as you can. I'm kind of out of tricks at this point, but he's about to die anyway. So I leave my shield on. That group gets frost blasted, and there's so many healers dead that they all die. We're really lucky that we killed him here. So that's the Naxx run. As you can see, very fast run, hour 23 minutes. Still made a lot of mistakes. There's still room for improvement. But that is kind of one of our typical Naxx raids. So I might do some more of these later down the road. If you guys have any suggestions or requests for other raids, I've already done MC and BWL. I can do some for those as well, or I can just do more specific videos. You guys can just let me know in the comments, or send me a message in game or Discord or whatever. But yeah, that was the Naxx run, and hopefully I help some of you aspiring tanks learn a thing or two. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.